So, I need to make a quick disclaimer. Actually, I need to make two quick disclaimers. First one being that this battle was late because the raid array in my computer, which if you don't know what a raid array is, you know, I'm not going to explain that. If you know what a raid array is, then good for you for being technically inclined. But the mirrored raid array that I run in my PC, the hard drive actually crapped out, so I lost half my raid array, and I had to go and clone the hard drive. Luckily, it had enough health on it to be able to be cloned. So I actually got it cloned. I got a new hard drive, and everything's all good and dandy. Everything's peaches and cream for now, with technical stuff like that. But you know, it happens when your raid array just decides I don't want to work anymore. So that's all good and fun. But the second disclaimer is that with the new 11.4 update to the 3DS firmware, the normal hacks method that I use to get into JK Save Manager to breed my mons stopped working. So I had another method that I used that actually works. So I got into Homebrew and I went to JK Save Manager to import my bred mons, and JK Save Manager freezes up on boot. So I don't know why it does that, but that's what happens. So that's all good and fun too. So basically what I'm trying to say is I'm bringing the team from last week because I didn't get to breed my mons in for this week. So anyways, let's proceed with the battle. I hope you guys enjoy. Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Skylar and I'm the coach of your Duke City Doublades for the Season 3 of the NPA. This week we are in week 8, I believe, and we're taking on King Bub. As I said, I have the same team from last week with my Sheer Force Life Orb Tauros, my Slurpuff, which Citrus Berry mechanics aren't working because I'm stupid. Slowbro, Skuntank are Bloom Doom Turtonator, and my Mega Venusaur, and he brought his Greninja, his Mega Pinsir, which are the two biggest threats on his team, and then he's got Suicune, Stunfisk, which actually proves to be quite the issue, and then he's got Kamala and his Heracross. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the battle. Okay, so now we have Bob issuing our challenge, and I actually lead off with my Tauros because it's the hardest hitting thing on my team. I thought I was still Sheer Force Choice Scarf, but it turns out I'm Sheer Force Life Orb, and he leads off with his Greninja. So I go straight for a Body Slam because I know it's going to do a lot to this thing. Probably bring it down to its Focus Sash, if not kill it off. But it's going to do damage no matter what comes in, and his Suicune actually comes in, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm just going to get off a nice Body Slam. It's all good and dandy, it's whatever. But he has Rocky Helmet, so I'm like, alright, I can't have Tauros taking this much damage. It's got Rock Slide, 2 mons that it's super effective on, and he outspeeds, so I gotta keep this thing around. So I switch to my Slowbro, and I can start setting up Calm Minds on this thing. And he actually goes for Rest, so I'm like, that's awesome. I can just set up Calm Mind after Calm Mind after Calm Mind, and then Psyshock and Skull my way to victory. And he switches out into his Kamala, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what this thing does, because I haven't played that all that much in 7th Gen, but I know it gets crazy moves, like it gets Earthquake, and Entei does not get Earthquake, but no, this Koala with a wooden hammer gets Earthquake, and Toxic, of course. I always forget about Toxic with Slowbro, because I'm a little bit on the slow side, if you didn't know. So I set up Calm Mind. I'm like, okay, so the toxic damage is going to be mitigated by my leftovers, so I'm okay with this for now. I'll set up one more Calm Mind, and I'll just Psyshock my way to victory. You know, just click Psyshock, win a trophy. I go for the Psyshock after my second Calm Mind, and it does a good amount of damage, but he just went for Wish, so I'm like, alright, this ain't the best thing for me in the world, because no matter what I do, whatever comes in is either not going to take damage, or the damage is going to be mitigated by the Wish that's going to come off. So he actually switches out into his Greninja, and I'm like, this thing's Dark type. I can't stay in. My Psyshock doesn't do anything because he's the Dark type. I'm like, I can't do anything because I'm running Fire Blast, Scald, and Psyshock. So I can't do anything to this. He actually makes a good play and doubles out into his Suicune, and I actually switch out into my Slurpuff because I'm like, okay, I gotta put on some offensive pressure. So that's exactly what I do. I go onto my Slurpuff, forgetting that Citrus Berry. I totally forgot my item for a solid like 5 seconds there. I don't remember exactly how the mechanic works in 7th gen. I should probably look that up again, but I forget how it works. I thought it was half, but it's not, which is fine. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take some Rocky Helmet damage, but with the damage I'm doing right now to Suicune, I should be able to 2-hit KO it, and I'll still gain some HP back, even though I do take the Rocky Helmet damage. He stays asleep, and I'm like, alright, we got this, boys. We're good. We get the Drain Punch off, we kill the Suicune, and we just proceed to sweep, but the Suicune actually lives. And I'm like, just please stay asleep, please stay asleep on this next turn. But he wakes up, and he phases me out with Roar. If he would have gone for any other move, I would have been perfectly fine. But, no. And Turtonator, I know, doesn't do anything for me in this battle. He goes for Scald, and I'm thinking that's super effective, but it's not because I'm a Dragon type and a Fire type, so it's just neutral. I should have gone for Shell Smash, and got my speed up. I would have outsped the Suicune, and then I could have just proceeded to probably body a lot of his team with this thing. But I'm like, Turtonator doesn't do much, so I'm just going to completely destroy this Suicune with Bloom Doom Turtonator. Because why not? Turtonator doesn't do anything for me in this battle, aside from, you know, probably killing this thing and probably killing his... Oh, that's fun. Nice frame rates there. Probably killing his Mega Pinsir as well, if I can get to the point where I can outspeed it, which I'm not going to outspeed that thing. Although I think it's only 100 base speed, so it's not too terrible. Anyways, he goes for Substitute, and I destroy it with my Flamethrower because it's super effective, and his Close Combat takes me out, and this is obviously a Moxie Heracross, so he's going to get his Moxie Boost, which is all good and fun for me. And I'm thinking he's probably choiced into that, so Tauros probably isn't going to do anything, but, you know, whatever. He already knows that I have, actually no, he doesn't know that I have Flamethrower yet. But I went for Flamethrower anyways, and it's going to do absolutely nothing to this Kamala. And I know this thing has Toxic. I can't risk having another Mon be Toxic. So I switch out into my Slowbro, because if he goes for Toxic, it's not going to do anything, and Slowbro's Psyshock takes this thing out. He goes for Wish. I'm just really hoping at this point that this thing is not a Wish Protect set. That's what I'm really hoping for. Because if this thing is Wish Protect set, I just lost this battle. But it's not a Wish Protect set. He goes for U-turn. Gets some super effective damage on me. I'm thinking he's going to go out into his Greninja because it makes the most sense, but he actually goes out into his Heracross for whatever reason. Maybe he thought I was going to double out into something, but I don't. I go for the Psyshock, and the Heracross goes down. I don't know exactly what his thought process there. I didn't ask. Thought process was there. I meant to ask him at the end of the battle, but by the time the battle ended, I forgot. Because I always talk to my opponents after the battle. We always say like GG, blah blah blah, talk about investments and sets and all other things like that. So he goes out into his Stun Fist. I can't risk Thunderbolt, so I go out into my Venusaur. I should have gone for Scald, knowing he was going to go for Stealth Rocks, but you win some, you lose some. So I got into my Venusaur. I'm going to Mega Evolve and go for the Growth, and anything that comes in is not going to want to take Giga Drain from this thing. So I believe on my Giga Drain Synthesis Sleep Powder set, but I don't remember exactly what it is. Either way, he goes for the Earth Power. It does more than I expect. Then I see, oh, it's a crit. That makes a lot more sense now. I go for the Giga Drain because I'm gonna get damage. I'm gonna get health back from whatever he sends in, and he just sacks off his Kamala at this point. So I'm glad that that thing's out of the way. That's 3 Mons down, 3 to go, and I still have like 4 or 5 of my Mons at this point. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself, right? I might actually have a chance to win. I have a really good, legitimate chance to win this. All I have to do is get rid of this thing. Really, that's all I have to do. So he switches into this thing. I switch out into my Skuntank, pretty much just sacking the thing off because he's gonna Mega Evolve and go for an Aerialate Stab. I think it's like base 140 return. Right, what's Mega Pinsir's base? Mega Pinsir's base... Hold on, let me just look at Mega Pinsir. Mega Pinsir's base attack is 155, so he goes for a Stab Aerialate, base 155 return. I know it's gonna completely destroy me, but I didn't think I outsped this thing. I went for Rock Slide because Rock Slide actually does more damage to his team overall, except when he sends this thing in. So I didn't go for Flamethrower in case he switched out into this thing or his Greninja, because Rock Slide does more damage to both of them. Although Rock Slide is resisted on Stunfisk. So he goes into Stunfisk, goes for the Earth Power. I know I can eat that up. It's yummy, yummy goody. And I'm just like, I gotta try to get damage on this thing. So I just go for Scald. It's the only thing I really can do. I would set up Calm Minds, but he's gonna kill me by the time that happens, because honestly, from this range, I think if like 2 Thunderbolts takes me out. Oh wait, I'm right, because he goes for the Thunderbolt, and I actually live. I'm like, okay, I'm really glad I went for Scald, because Toxic Damage is going to take me out even after Leftover Recovery. I get this thing down to like 65 HP, and I do get the burn. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm actually really glad I got the burn. I mean, hack sucks, but it's a part of the game that we play. So I'm glad I got the burn because it mitigates, actually no, it completely negates his Leftovers Recovery on his Stunfisk. So it's great. So the thing's at like 60-65%. And now I gotta make plays, and I go into my Slurpuff. I know I don't have a lot of chance of living after the Belly Drum, but I have to make the play. And I forgot. Citrus Berry pops on, like it pops immediately when you need it. So if he wasn't especially attack invested, which he is, he actually told me he had 90 EVs in special attack. I actually would have lived that with like no HP, and the Drain Punch would have completely bodied this thing. Actually, I think I went for Play Rough, now that I think about it. But he's specially attack invested, so Thorol was on his side. I actually had a chance of living, but it was a really slim chance of living, because I was at like 45% or something like that, and he did a minimum of like 41. So I know when I send in Oleander that he's going to go into his Mega Pinsir, so I go for my Hidden Power Fire, and I figure there's no reason to keep Mega Venusaur around. Tauros is my win condition, so I gotta keep that thing here. So I let Mega Pinsir go down, and I let Mega Venusaur go down, and I go out into Tauros. He knows I have Flamethrower and Rock Slide at this point, so he switches out and goes out into his Stunfisk. I figure my best move is to go for Body Slam. So I go for the Body Slam. And I outspeed this thing on the next turn, so I'm going to take it out with another body slam after the leftovers and burn goes off. So, I know at this point that he's probably going to go out into his Greninja. So I'm like, alright, this thing outspeeds me. It's base 128 speed. But for some weird reason, I actually outspeed. I don't know if it was a speed tie. I think it was, because of the next turn he goes for Skull and just completely bodies me, like right here. So, I lose again, but I played really well. I didn't even have this team wasn't even prepped for him. So, I don't know exactly what I could have done different. Maybe I could have just played a little bit smarter around the Mega Pinsir. But I didn't really have a choice. If I could have slept, if he wasn't invested in special attack, Slurpuff probably would have won that game for me, because I outspent everything on his team after the Umbreon boost, but it happens. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the battle, and I'll see you guys next week for our Week 9 battle against Old School Sin and the Waterloo Sawsbucks. Thanks for watching, see you guys next time. Bye!